oh, I'm too smart. I'm too smart to fall for your Jesus stuff. I'm evolved. I am evolutionary. I am better than this. You know, I have a different religion. I might believe in aliens. You never know.
This is Pastor Ruth M. Haynes. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Spiritflow. Today we're going to be speaking on character. Stay tuned.
Today we're going to talk about who do you want to be? Ask your neighbor, who do you want to be?
Who do you want to be?
You have to ask yourself sometimes, what kind of person do you want to be? A rude person? Do you want to be the person that has it together? The person that's doing so many wonderful things? You got to ask yourself who you want to be. Because who you want to be is your character is going to dictate your actions. And your actions will speak for you. You don't have to say nothing. It's just your actions. You show up at a certain time, your actions have already spoken to you, how you feel about it. If you don't do something that you said you're going to do, then your actions have already spoken about your character. So you don't ever have to say anything. All you got to do really is live your life as a Christian. You just walk around and live your life, and people will see. They will see something about you, that you keep your word. They see that you do what you say you're going to do. They see that you're taking things seriously. You're giving your all, and then they'll want to be a part of something like that. But you have to ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? Not who am I right now is different from who I want to be. And when I told you this before, when I was young, I had a vision in my mind of this girl all dressed up, walking with her heels, got it together, got her business together, doing her thing, got her money and everything like that organized. And I had that picture. So that picture in my mind, I do things to shape my life in that way. And hopefully I'll be that woman one day. And I hope that you guys have a picture of who you want to be as well. To be effective, to be successful, to be pleasing to God is all about your character. Turn to your neighbor and say character. Your character is who you are. Your character is what you do when nobody's looking. Your integrity, who you are. That is your character. Your actions speak more about your character than anything else, like I just said. So I want to ask you, what character do you play in the story that I'm about to tell you? How do you relate to the king? It was a king involved in the story, and we just read it. And this was a true story, but it's still a story. And how you relate to the king will determine how you end up. And we just read from Esther 4. So the thing I want to tell you guys is, if you want to be who you want to be, then you got to do what you got to do. Amen? Mm-hmm. All right. So you got to make a little bit of changes, adjustments. So I'm going to quickly run through the story. Basically, you have the king, and you have his wife, Queen Vashti. Now, Queen Vashti, the king asked Queen Vashti to come on, we're having a banquet, everybody's here, everybody important is here. I want them all to see how beautiful you are, yada, yada, yada. But that's her job. She knows what she signed up for. She's the queen. She's supposed to make her appearances, and show up, right? And she said, no, I'm not coming. So all the men got together, and back in the day, women don't do stuff like that, right? So it's like, oh my God, she's going to make every woman rebel against her husband. She's such a bad example, yada, yada, yada. And she made the king so mad because the king, you couldn't even appear in front of the king without him. If he doesn't extend his scepter to you, you could die. So when he asked for you, you need to come, right? So that was Queen Vashti. So what he decided to do, the elders were like, listen, you got to get her out of here, okay? Let's go find another queen for you. And so as they were looking for a queen, they looked through all the girls in the land, and they got them all ready. You had to qualify. You had to be a virgin. So you had to qualify. You had to be pretty. So you had to qualify some more. Then they had to get you ready. Not only you had to be pretty, have it going on, and keep yourself together and pure, you have to be soaked and all these things for 6 months. For another 6 months, they were soaking just to smell good for the king. So this Esther had to take her time and get ready for a whole year. And then the king would just, go through these tests with these girls and pick out who's going to be the queen. So Esther ended up being the queen, Esther. But she also had an uncle called Mordecai. And Mordecai was like, don't tell anybody that, you're Jewish. Don't tell them. So what happened was Haman, you read in the story, Haman was this guy. He was like the right-hand man to the king, and he's walking around, and he's like, bow, bow down, Everybody say hi to me, But he didn't. Mordecai did not. That was against his custom, so he didn't do it. He's like, so who's this guy? He's a Jew. He don't want to bow down to me. And Jewish people are like, well, we don't bow down to anybody. So what happened was, he was like, okay, what's going to happen is all of y'all going to die. I'm going to kill every Jewish person. Little did he know that he was doing this for Mordecai, his enemy. Haman, the bad guy, is doing it for the good guy that wouldn't bow to him. So he's like, oh, I can't believe I just set myself up like that. At the end of the story, who ends up dying on the thing that Haman set up? Haman. He died on by his own sword, what we said. We've been saying that your enemy will die by their own sword. That's exactly what happened. So Haman ended up, losing it all. And guess who inherited it? Mordecai. So my question is, who do you want to be? Number one, are you Queen Vashti? Queen Vashti was beautiful on the outside. She was gorgeous. She was wonderful, right? But she was ugly on the inside. She did not listen to the king when he asked her to come. She was like, cry so loud, I'm not coming when you ask me to come. Who do you think you are, right? So she refused to come to the king. But her purpose was to be there and available and obey her husband. But she refused her purpose. How many people do you know that refuse their purpose? They refuse to do the thing that the God called them to do. That's why you're here. But you're like, no, I don't want to do that. You're refusing the purpose. But you see what happened to Queen Vashti. She ended up making the king furious. So I'm going to ask you this. Are you that chick refusing to serve God? Refusing to come to God? Are you that guy that's refusing to come to God? Are you that intellectual? I'm too smart to fall for your Jesus stuff. I'm evolved. I am evolutionary. I am better than this. I have a different religion. I might believe in aliens. You never know. Are you too much? Do you believe in all that stuff when you don't want to come to God? You find every single reason is too basic or too religious for you. Are you too evolved to follow Jesus? Well, let me tell you about the consequences with Queen Vashti. She made the king mad, like I said, and it's not really that smart to make a powerful person mad. Would you try to make the president mad? Would you try to make somebody that had a lot of money mad? No, it wouldn't make any sense because they can make your life a little miserable. Would you go and make the mayor mad? Like, I'm going to back into your car. Would you ever run into a police vehicle? Oh, no. I don't care if you did it by accident. They come for you, okay? So that's what I'm saying. You can't make a powerful person mad and then just have a bad attitude about it. The point blank, she was a bad role model, right? And they had to make an example out of her. So she lost her position and was kicked out. She was no longer the queen. AKA, she was real sorry. She thought she was going to be queen. She wasn't. He just replaced her. And so what I want to say is don't confuse your privilege with your power. Don't confuse your privilege with your power. You may have the privilege as a child of God, but then if you don't have your power, if you're basing it off of you, and you go tell, okay, devil, I'm not scared of you, yada 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 yada, and he beat you up, you have a black eye, you're confusing your privilege with your power, because you're not walking in obedience to have the power. And that's what Vashti did. She thought she was the queen. She thought everything was up to her. Number two, are you Haman? Haman was a hater. Because Mordecai would not bow down to him. He did not show him any respect. Do you know anybody that has a pride that she like, she didn't even say that to me, and she could have walked up to me? I don't know. You watch a reality show for 1 minute and you find out, you said hi, but you didn't say it nice. Who do I look like? Yeah, that was Haman, right? It's like you need to recognize. Do you get your panties in a bunch when people don't speak to you, or acknowledge you, or honor you, or bow to you? Do you let your boys hype you up and say, oh, you want to let them do that? You let your girl say, I know she ain't do that to you. You want to let her get away with that? Do you wait for a whole year to get revenge on somebody? That's what Haman did. A whole year later. Are you still talking about it a year later? Oh my gosh. That's exactly what he did. He waited and he waited, but he did not understand that he was setting his own self up. Are you the one who throws a whole nation under the bus just because of one person? Oh, all Asians, they're all Mexicans, all this and that. I mean, you after everybody for one person. When one person did it, your ego was bruised. Or when somebody apologizes to you, you say, oh, it took too long. Or do you set up traps for your enemy? Is that what you do? That's what Haman did. But let me tell you about the consequences of Haman. If you're Haman, don't raise your hand. Please don't do that. His evil plot was found out by the king. Okay? And he was accused of more than what he did. Now, once they found out what he was doing and how he was, his character, then he was like, oh, and you gonna sit there and rub up on my wife too? It wasn't nothing he was trying to do. He was just like, oh, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, found out he was guilty for the wrong thing. So he was sentenced to death. I mean, that little incident being near his wife, oh, you're gonna provoke my wife, and he really didn't do it. Do you ever get in trouble for something you didn't do because of the stuff you did do? I'm telling you. He was sentenced to death with his own killing machine. That's how embarrassing. How many of you are Haman? Nobody's going to raise their hand, of course. Number 3, are you Mordecai? Do you keep your mouth shut until it comes time to tell people who you are? Or are you always telling people who you are? Are you bragging with your words instead of stepping up with your actions? A lot of people do that. They tell you what they're going to do. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that. But then when it comes to the actions, they haven't done anything. But Mordecai didn't do that. He didn't say go in there and say, I'm a Jew. You know, he didn't say that. He didn't say, I'm better than you guys. I'm superior. Are you loyal to the king? Even when his enemies are plotting against him? Are you loyal? That's what Mordecai did. He told him, or do you believe, snitches be stitches? Well, Mordecai was a snitch. That's what he was. But guess what? He ended up being in the top position because he was loyal. Loyalty is bigger than all that. Loyalty. Are you going to be loyal? And the king didn't even know him. He said, I'm going to be loyal. Are you mad at those who mock God? Or do you take action? Or do you support them? Are you supporting their music? They're mocking God, but you're supporting their music. You're supporting what they say. You're supporting who they are. And you know that they're laughing in the face of God. You know that they're doing things inappropriate. You know that they're sending the wrong messages. Mordecai could have did that, but that wasn't Mordecai. Mordecai was like, no, I'm not going to allow this. I'm going to take action. I'm going to do something. And guess what? His name was written in the book. How did the king find out about him? Because he ended up being in the history books. So now the king knows about what he did, and he said, I'm going to honor this man. Because the king couldn't sleep, so God set that up. The king couldn't sleep, and so he's like, read me the whatever happened in the news in the country, because I know I fall asleep. And then he found out about Mordecai. He could have been dead if it wasn't for Mordecai. Will you listen to somebody younger than you? When they need your help and support, will you help them? Or are you going to back them up? Are you going to do what you need to do? She said, go and fast. He did it. He didn't say, well, I'm the one supposed to say that, so I guess I'm not going to do it. The consequences when you are Mordecai, because consequences can be good or bad. Nobody ever said consequences are negative all the time. They're called rewards, right? People were saved because of Mordecai. The people, they were alive because of Mordecai. He's the one set her up and got her ready and took care of her when she didn't have mom and dad. He did all this stuff to set her up and support her. And then when it was such a time as this, when it was Esther's time, he was the background guy. Sometimes the most powerful person is in the background. It don't have to be the forefront person. Sometimes it's the person supporting the person that's in the front. That's the person who has the most power. Are you Esther? Now, you can be Esther, you can be a man, you can be a woman. Esther, it's okay. Esther represents a person who was prepared for a great destiny. She was prepared, and because she was willing to separate herself from the other girls that was silly, like, yeah, I want this, I want that, you willing to take that year of preparation that Esther took? You had to sit down and for a whole year just soak, all day just do nothing and soak? Just so you can smell good for the king that might not like you? If you get a chance, will you ask for nothing? Some people, no matter if you ask them for this or ask them for that. Hey, do you want some water? Yes. Hey, do you want some cookies? Yes. Hey, would you like an astronaut to ride you home? Yes. If it's not necessary, say no. Say no, because sometimes It's a test. Will you only get what you need? It's a difference. It's something that is a character trait. Sometimes it's a test. So people don't know when you are running a business or you have an opportunity. You don't know when you're talking to people. You don't know who you're going to meet. But people don't know on the other end that they might be your employee, or they might be your business partner, or they might be somebody in your future. So everything you do matters. That's what I'm telling you guys. Be prepared at all times. You have your best, put your best foot forward. Will you take what is suggested from the expert? The expert told her not to take anything else. Only take what I give you, that's what you take. That's it. Don't take more. Don't be greedy. Take this. And he chose her. The king saw that she took the minimal, and all the other girls was like, yeah, because the king was like, oh, you want me for my money. Oh, you want me for this. Oh, you want me for that. But this girl she didn't do that. And he chose her. He loved her because they all was pretty. It was about the character. It wasn't about how you look anymore. At some point, it's not about how you look. It's about who you are. Amen? Amen. Will you break order in order to do what God asked you to do? Will you do something that's out of order, don't seem right, don't look right, but God told you to do it? You had to do. She ain't just break the rules because she felt like it. Will you wait for the right time or circumstances to ask for what you want? Are you going to jump the gun and ask early and get a no? Or are you going to wait and you're going to do exactly when God leads you to do it? That's what Esther did. Are you willing to fast? Are you willing to go without food and drink for a couple of days when something's really that serious? People are about to die. I'm going to fast. I'm sorry. I'm drunk or not eating for 3 days straight. But if all my people are going to die, I'm going to do it. Are you going to do it? That's what Esther had to do. So let me tell you the consequences about being Esther. First of all, she became a queen because she got prepared. She was there. She was in the place. She did her thing. She was that woman. She had that character. Because Vashti was pretty too. She was beautiful too. What do they need another pretty person that's not going to listen, that's not, She really did worse than Vashti because she came at a time when it was against the law to come to the king. But she got away with it because she was humble, because she was obedient, because she was kind. She didn't have a bad heart. She saved her people. That's the consequence of being Esther. It's not about just you. What about your family back home? What about the people that are depending on you? What about their kids in the future? They can't provide for their kids, and you could have did something to help them. Oh, because you could have got yourself together and helped a whole lot of people. That's what Esther did. She was able to get her people saved and her enemy defeated. So I'm going to ask you, are you going to be Queen Vashti? Are you going to be Haman? Are you going to be Mordecai? Or are you going to be Esther? If you choose the character, you choose the consequences. God bless you. Amen.